Good morning, and welcome to our Sunday presentation. This lodge meets every Sunday at 11 a.m. for the discussion of a particular topic. Today's presentation will be on the topic of 3 fundamentals of Theosophy. And next week, we'll be discussing the topic of never need to worry. Additionally, at 12:30 p.m. every first and third Sunday of the month, we read and discuss selected theosophical writings. We're currently having roundtable discussions on the Key to Theosophy by H.P. Blavatsky. We would also like to announce that we will be in Philadelphia on June 3rd. It's a Saturday between 1 and 4 p.m. at the United Lodge of Theosophists in Philadelphia, and we will be participating in discussions regarding theosophical themes in Western mysticism. ULT is guided by its declaration, printed on the back of our program, which is here in print and also on our website. The declaration states the following: the policy of this lodge is independent devotion to the cause of Theosophy, without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with dissensions or differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and too lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of Theosophy, and the exemplification and practice of those principles, through a truer realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among Theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis. And it aims to disseminate this idea among Theosophists in the furtherance of unity. It regards as Theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves, by study and otherwise, to be the better able to help and teach others. The true Theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all. Today's reading is from the Dhammapada. The wise man. If you see an intelligent man who detects faults and blames what is blameworthy, follow that wise man. Value him as a revealer of hidden treasure. He will be beloved of the good. By the bad he will be hated. Let such a man admonish. Let him instruct. Let him forbid what is improper. Do not be friends of evildoers or of mean men. Do be friends with the good. Keep company with the best of men. He who drinks in the Dhamma with a serene mind lives happily. The wise man delights in the Dhamma taught by the noble ones. Irrigators lead the waters. Fletchers shape the arrows. Carpenters carve the wood. Wise people discipline themselves. Solid rock is not shaken by the gale. The wise man is not moved by praise or blame. After hearing the Dhamma, the wise become tranquil, like a deep lake which is clear and calm. Good people move onwards, whatever befall. They do not prattle, nor yearn for pleasures. The wise are not elated in their happiness, nor are they depressed when touched by sorrow. Neither for himself nor for others will the wise man crave sons, or wealth, or position. A few only reach the farther shore. Most people go their rounds on this one. Those, however, who listen to the law and live up to its precepts cross over to the farther shore. This crossing over the dominion of Mara is difficult indeed. Let a man value retirement, which is hard to love. Let him leave the householder state, seeking the homeless one. Let the wise abandon the way of darkness and follow the light on the path. Leaving behind all sense pleasures, calling nothing his own, let the wise man cleanse himself from all impurities of the heart and then enjoy. Living in this world, they attain the bliss of nirvana, whose appetites have been conquered, whose minds are well grounded in the elements of enlightenment, and who cling to nothing but enjoy the freedom of detachment. And now for today's talk.
Good morning. The secret doctrine establishes three fundamental principles. The first, an omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle on which all speculation is impossible, since it transcends the power of human conception and could only be dwarfed by any human expression or similitude. It is beyond the range and reach of thought, in the words of Mandukya, unthinkable and unspeakable. To render clearer to the general reader, let him set out with the postulate that there is one absolute reality, which antecedes all manifested condition and manifested condition being. This infinite and eternal cause, dimly formulated in the unconscious and unknowable of current European philosophy, is the rootless root of all that was, is, or ever shall be. It is, of course, devoid of all attributes and is essentially without any relation to manifested, finite being. It is the beingness, rather than being, in Sanskrit sat, which is beyond all thought or speculation. The beingness is symbolized as a secret doctrine under two aspects. On the one hand, absolute abstract space, representing bare subjectivity, the one thing which no human mind can either exclude from any conception or conceive of by itself. On the other, absolute abstract motion, representing unconditioned consciousness. Even our Western thinkers have shown that consciousness is inconceivable to us apart from change, and motion best symbolizes change, its essential characteristic. This latter aspect of the one reality is also symbolized by the term the great breath, a symbol sufficiently graphic to need no further elucidation. Thus, then, the first fundamental axiom of the secret doctrine is this metaphysical one absolute beingness, symbolized by finite intelligence as the theological trinity. It may, however, assist the student in a few further explanations, as is given in this reading. Herbert Spencer, for instance, as of late so far modified his agnosticism as to assert that the nature of the first cause, which the occultist more logically derives from, the causeless cause, the eternal, and the unknowable, may be essentially the same as that of the consciousness, wells up within us. In short, that the impersonal reality pervading the cosmos is the pure noumenon of thought. This advance of this part brings him very near to esoteric and Vedantin tenet. Parabrahm, which refers to the one reality, the absolute, is the field of absolute consciousness, as in the essence which is out of all relation to conditioned existence, and of which conscious existence is a conditioned symbol. But once that we pass in through from this to us, absolute negation, duality, supervenes in the contrast of spirit or consciousness and matter, subject and object. Spirit or consciousness and matter, however, to be regarded not as independent realities but as two facets of or aspects of the absolute Brahman, which constitute the basis of conditioned being within subjective or objective. Considering this metaphysical triad as the root from which proceeds all manifestation, the great breath assumes the character of precosmic ideation. It is the fons et origo of force and of all individual consciousness, and supplies the guiding intelligence in the vast scheme of cosmic evolution. On the other hand, precosmic root substance, mula prakriti, is the aspect of the absolute which underlies all the objective planes of nature. Just as precosmic ideation is the root of all individual consciousness, so precosmic substance is the substratum of matter in the various grades of its differentiation. Hence, it will be apparent that the contrast of these two aspects of the absolute is essential to the existence of the manifested universe. Apart from the cosmic substance, cosmic ideation could not manifest as individual consciousness, since it is only through a vehicle of matter that consciousness wells up as I am I. A physical basis being necessary to focus a ray of the universal mind at a certain stage of complexity. Again, apart from cosmic ideation, cosmic substance would remain an empty abstraction, and no emergence of consciousness could ensue. The manifested universe, therefore, is pervaded by duality, which is, as it were, the very essence of its existence as manifestation. But as the opposite poles of subject and object, spirit and matter, are but aspects of the one unity in which they are synthesized, so in the manifested universe, that there is that which links spirit to matter, subject to object. This is something at present unknown to Western speculation. It's called by occultists Fohat. Fohat is the bridge by which the ideas existing in the divine thought are compressed on cosmic substance as the laws of nature. Fohat is thus the dynamic energy of cosmic ideation, or regarded from the other side. It is the intelligent medium, the guiding power of all manifestation, the thought divine, transmitted and made manifest through the Dhyan Chohans, the architects of the visible world. Thus, from spirit or cosmic ideation comes our consciousness. From cosmic substrate, the several vehicles in which that consciousness is individualized and attains to self or reflective consciousness. While Fohat, in its various manifestations, is the mysterious link between mind and matter, the animating principle electrifying every atom into life. The following summary will afford perhaps a more clearer idea to the viewers. First, the first principle, as we mentioned earlier, is that Theosophy establishes that an omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle on which all speculation is impossible because it exists, since it transcends the power of human conception and could only be dwarfed by any human expression or similitude. It is beyond the range and reach of thought, in the words of Madunka, unthinkable and unspeakable. In summary, first we have this principle refers to the absolute, which the Brahman or the Ventis or the one reality, the Sat, which is both absolute being and non-being. It transcends nothingness and everythingness, if we were to use that term. The first manifestation, the impersonal, and in philosophy, unmanifested logos, the precursor of the manifested. This is the first cause. These are other terms that are related to it. First cause. Unconscious, it's another term. Spirit, matter, life. These are other triads which are contained within this principle. Cosmic ideation, Mahat or intelligence, the universal world soul, the cosmic noumenon of matter, the basis of the intelligent operations in and of nature, also called Mahabudhi. The one reality, its dual aspects of in the conditioned universe. This is basically the first fundamental. Now, moving to the second fundamental, it states the following: the eternity of the universe in toto as a boundless plane, periodically the playground of numberless universes, incessantly manifesting and disappearing, called the manifesting stars, and the sparks of eternity. The eternity of the pilgrim is like a wink of the eye of self-existence. From the book of Dhyan. The appearance of and disappearance of worlds is like a regular tidal ebb of flux and reflux. This second assertion of the secret doctrine is the absolute universality of the law of periodicity. Of flux and reflux, ebb and flow, which physical science has observed and recorded in all departments of nature and science. An alternation such as that of day and night, life and death, sleeping and waking, is a fact so common, so perfectly universal and without exception, that it is easy to comprehend that in it we see one of the absolutely fundamental laws of the universe. Besides this, now we'll address the third fundamental from the secret doctrine, which teaches that the fundamental identity of all souls with the universal Oversoul, the latter being itself an aspect of the unknown root, and the obligatory pilgrimage for every soul as part of the former through the cycle of incarnation or necessity in accordance with cyclic and karmic law during the whole term. In other words, no purely spiritual Buddhi, which refers to divine soul, can have an independent conscious existence before the spark which issued from the pure essence of the universe sixth principle, or the Oversoul, has passed through every elemental form of the phenomenon world from that manvantara and acquired individuality, first by natural impulse, and then by self-induced or self-devised efforts, checked in by its karma through the passage of time, thus ascending through all degrees of intelligence from the lowest to the highest manas. From the lowest to the highest manas. From mineral to plant, up to the holiest archangel, Dhyani Buddha. The pivotal doctrine of the esoteric philosophy admits no privileges or special gifts in man, save those won by its own ego through personal effort and merit throughout a long series of metempsychoses and reincarnations. This is why the Hindus say that the universe is Brahma, and Brahma, for Brahma, is in every atom of the universe, the six principles in nature being all the outcome, the variously differentiated aspects of the seventh and one, the only reality in the universe, whether cosmical or microcosmical, and also why the permutations, psychic, spiritual, and physical, on the plane of manifestation and form of the sixth, Brahma, the vehicle of Brahma, are viewed by metaphysical antiphrases as elusive and mayavic. For although the root of every atom individually and of every form collectively is that the seventh principle, or the one reality, still, in its manifested phenomenal and temporary appearance, it is no better than an evanescent illusion of our senses. In its absoluteness, the one principle, under its two aspects of Brahman and Mula Prakriti, is sexless, not defined by sex, unconditioned, and eternal, is periodical manvantaric emanation, or primal radiation, is also one. All its radiations are also androgynous, to become male and female principles in their lower aspects. After pralaya, whether the great or the minor pralaya, the latter leaving the world in status quo. The first that reawakens to active life is the plastic akasha, father, mother, the spirit and soul of ether, and or the plane on the surface of the circle. Space is called the mother before its cosmic activity, and the father mother at the first stage of reawakening. In the Kabbalah, it is also father, mother, son. But whereas in the Eastern doctrine, these are the 7 principles of manifested universe, or it's Atma, Buddhi, Manas, which we address here. The triad branching off and dividing into 7 cosmical and 7 human principles. In the Western Kabbalah of the Christian mystics, it is the triad of Trinity, which is in Catholicism it's referred to as Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And with their occultists, the male, female, Jehovah or Jawa. In this lies the whole difference between the esoteric and the Christian trinities, the mystics and the philosophers, the Eastern and Western pantheists synthesize their pregenetic triad in the pure divine abstraction. The Orthodox anthropomorphize it. Hiranyagarbha, Hari, and Sankara, the 3 hypostases of the manifesting spirit of the Supreme Spirit, by which title Prithivi, the earth, greets Vishnu in his first avatar, are the purely metaphysical abstraction qualities of formation, preservation, and destruction, and are the 3 divine avashtas, hypostases of that which does not perish with created things, or Achyuta, a name of the Vishnu. Whereas the Orthodox Christian separates his personal creative deity into 3 personages of the Trinity, and admits of no higher deity. The latter, in occultism, is the abstract triangle, with the Orthodox the perfect cube. The creative God, or the aggregate gods, are regarded by the Eastern philosopher as Bhranti-darshanata, false apprehension, something convinced of by reason or erroneous appearances as a material form, and explained as arising from the elusive conception of the egotistic, personal, and human soul, which is the lower 5th principle. It is beautifully expressed in a new translation of Vishnu Purana. That Brahma in its totality has essentially the aspect of Prakriti, both evolved and unevolved, Mula Prakriti, and also the aspect of spirit and the aspect of time. Spirit, or twice born, is the leading aspect of the Supreme Brahma. The next is a twofold aspect. Prakriti, both evolved and unevolved, is the time last. Kronos is shown in the Orphic theogony as being also a generated god or agent. At this stage of the reawakening of the universe, the sacred symbolism represents it as a perfect circle, with the root point in the center. The sign was universal. Therefore, we find it in the Kabbalah also. The Western Kabbalah, however, now in the hands of Christian mystics, ignores it altogether, though it is plainly shown in the Zohar. These sectarians begin at the end and show as a symbol of pregenic cosmos this sign. Calling it the union of the rose and the cross. The great mystery of occult generation, and where hence the name Rosicrucians rose cross. The rose arose from the union of the cross. The verticality and horizontality of life. As may be judged, however, from the most important as the best known of the Rosicrucian symbols, there is one which can never be hitherto understood, even by modern mystics. It is that of the pelican, tearing open its breast to feed its 7 little ones, the real creed of the brothers of the Rosy Cross, and a direct outcome from the Eastern secret doctrine. Brahma Nutter is also called Kalahansa, meaning, as explained by Western Orientalists, the eternal swan or goose. And so is Brahma the creator, another role. A great mistake is thus brought under notice. It is Brahma Nutter who ought to be referred to as Hansa Vahana, he who uses the swan as his vehicle, and not Brahma the creator, who is the real Kalahansa, while Brahma Nutter is Hamsa, a Hamsa, as will be explained in the commentary. Let it be understood that the terms Brahma and Pravam are not used here because they belong to our esoteric nomenclature, but simply because they are more familiar to students in the West. Both are the perfect equivalents of our 1, 3, and 7 vowel terms, which stand for the one all and the one all in all. Such are the basic conceptions in which the secret doctrine rests. It would not be in place here to enter upon any defense or proof of inherent reasonableness, nor can I pause to show how they are in fact contained, though too often under a misleading guise in every system of thought or philosophy. With this, I conclude this part of the talk. I'm now open to answer questions as well as to elaborate further in as much as I possibly can on these 3 fundamental principles.
The way I understand what you presented is all in all, and we are that as well. We are spirit, we are body, we are the product of all of what you're talking about.
We're
not separate from God.
No, there's no separation in this concept. There are aspects of spirit and mind. There are different aspects of like matter and spirit, but they are different aspects of one existence, one reality, one absolute. There's no separate. There's an illusion of separation, but in reality, all comes down to the source. Robin.
What is the logos of that source? What is the ontological primacy of perception?
Can you elaborate further?
The absolute is one substance.
Yes.
What is that substance? If it's differentiated, then there is an illusion. But if it's an illusion, then what is the one substance?
The one term used that I really found it very interesting was the concept of the first cause. I could maybe allude to that in my attempt to answer that question, which the causeless cause, the eternal. I could maybe parallel this to the scientific theory of the Big Bang. There is yes.
Are you alluding to a theological explanation for the cause of the universe as God as a first cause?
No.
What's the first cause?
Can I ask a question?
I'll return back to you.
I thought Lauren said you were talking about, when you mentioned the first cause, that includes the potentiality of matter, But it doesn't yet mean matter. I mean, it's not matter as we see it. You can't put your finger on it like you can.
In that way, yeah.
Yeah, that's podium.
I think you need to take it to the homogeneous substance, which is a universal aspect of it, which is not, it's a principle, but it's not visible to this eye. And in the Secret Doctrine, HPB writes that even to the Dhyan Chohanic eye is not visible. What the question is being put there, because at the beginning you said it is unknowable.
Unknowable, yeah, I was going to allude to that. That it's by eternal, there's no beginning, no end. So it's that's would be what I am my understanding unknowable. But it's nonetheless there is a calling for us to pursue these questions. There is a lot of merit in issuing those questions.
What is the essence of that absolute being?
The essence of the absolute being.
The existential existence of it.
That is. The way I'm on. I think it's there's my following along that question. I would say that there is a question about why. I see a lot of questions of why, and I see it more as a flow, it is what it is. It exists. There's a level of existence, and that transcends our comprehension of why it exists. And not to claim that there's no way to attain that. Perhaps it's just out of our reach. Perhaps. Yes.
You indicated it ever is, and you mentioned the words creation, preservation, and destruction, and that, the way I understood what you said, is in everything, in all of us.
Yeah.
You know, we take part in all that. So it's more of a process, like you said, than it is matter, separate matter. Because if you look at it as separate matter, you can, I think, then you start separating in this false idea of what God is. That's how it gets created.
I'll go with you in a second. Yeah.
If there is one ontological truth about all existence, then what is differentiation of that substance?
I believe differentiation here refers to diverse ramifications, aspects of that one source. But it's there's an illusion. There are diverse aspects to it. That would be my interpretation that I can provide you as an answer to that question. Tunjai had lifted the hand. Yeah.
Yeah. You yourself explained at the beginning that the one absolute is Parabrahm and Mula Prakriti, but you also said that is a metaphysical, subjective state, and it is not understandable to the human mind. But in the writings, it says that the manifestation occurs through the logoic light. And the logoic light, one is unmanifested, and the second one, which comes directly from the first, is the manifested logos, meaning that the Dhyan Chohanic host of the Secret Doctrine is in its totality that manifested logi. That's your explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it? It's light. What is light? White light, when you put it through the prism, separates into 7 rays. And those 7 rays, in its totality, is the Dhyan Chohanic host of the Secret Doctrine. In the Christian religion, they're called archangels. which is the same terminology.
Terminology. Sevenfold, yeah.
Okay, so can we just say that all substance is light? The Akashic light?
I think it may, as to provide an answer, it would make sense to say that permeates everything in existence due to it being part of the source. That would be an answer I could provide on the basis of these concepts. Tunja.
But also, she says, there's a very poignant article about psychic and noetic action where it is explained, the question he's asking is truly explained in that one. At the beginning you said the great breath, the motion of the universe. But when it is further explained, it is stated that the inherent motion of the atoms, which are not created and they're not physical, they're psycho-spiritual entities, actually constitute that inherent motion in those atoms constitute the motion of the universe, which is referred to as the great breath of the secret doctrine. These entities are psycho-spiritual, they're subjective, but only on this level they become concretized for our use as material substance. But on the higher levels, they are not material. They are psycho-spiritual entities. And in the future, we're told that they have the potentiality to evolve to manhood themselves. Each atom. At the end of the mantra, the hope is that humanity will elevate everything around it and learn that there is no separation between substance and spirit. And so at this stage of our development, meaning we have reached self-consciousness, that responsibility falls upon humanity to protect all of the lower kingdoms, because they are on that same soul evolutionary process to manhood themselves. So, but Christian religions do not really accept that philosophy, because this is not a criticism of it, it's just simply a statement that in all religions we're just here this one time. How much progressive evolution can take place in one short 100 years? In this philosophy, the third fundamental states that everything in the universe is conscious, and it has a consciousness of its own kind. So each kingdom expresses that consciousness to the limit it has developed. So in us, it is self-consciousness. We know that we are. We simply are. The soul is, just like you stated at the beginning of your talk. So all those kingdoms then becomes our responsibility. So to nature, to align ourselves with nature then would be one of these fundamentals.
Another fundamental is universal brotherhood.
Yes, it comes from that unity of all, as the speaker has stated at the beginning of the talk. I think perhaps you missed it, because you said everything is together. We constitute one whole.
Yes.
Substance and spirit and substance being two aspects of the one absolute.
Yes.
So getting into that, it said that we cannot uplift ourselves without uplifting everything around us, or of course the reverse can be true too.
Yes.
So we're all united, whether we think we are or not.
Yeah, totally. Not our every action has repercussions on our surroundings, and that happens at a microcosmic scale, and also has repercussions at a macrocosmic scale. It can be like our actions have effects in our families, can have effects in the very own town we live, could have national implications in the very own nation we live, could have world globally implications. Every action technically has this potential effect and could likely cause either in a positive or negative way.
So there's an old saying, you're making your own bed. You are making your own bed for the future as well, and it's helping make the bed of those around us.
Yes.
Helping us usher in, it's the next cycle, which would be the golden age. We're right now in the dark age right now. But our actions reflect on the process of coming to the next stage.
Yes.
Speaking of that, how are we to help others along this path if the path is too treacherous for them to follow?
We
What does
that-
it
We
mean
are
by
not. We are
treachery?
not.
What does that
We
mean?
can't be concerned with others' karmic responsibilities. We can only be concerned with our own.
no, there is a calling to brotherhood and universality, and there is no better way of teaching than by example. And if this is primordial, and if we work to the fullest that we can to live the most righteous life we possibly can, by default we are already helping those surrounding us, because we serve could potentially serve as an inspiration if the other people already are set on that motivated path. If people are not motivated, it doesn't matter how eloquently or how admirable of a righteous life one can lead. It just won't trigger that effect. But at the same time, if individuals seek help to us on this path, however way they feel it, whether they feel it that is treacherous or not, it is our calling as part of brotherhood to lend a hand to those in need, to be of service. That helps them and helps us on our path towards perfection, towards a reunion with the absolute, religare. It's just part of it. Yes, Josh.
To summarize, Mr. Crosby said, do your best, leave the rest to the law.
Yes.
Right? Karma will take care of it. If you do your best, everything else, unity, brotherhood, it all comes from that. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says the duty of another is full of danger. So there is treachery if we try to do something that is really someone else's responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
Right? We can't do for them what it is their duty to do for themselves. But that still leaves, a vast amount of things we can do that are positive and beneficial and productive in the world that isn't necessarily someone else's duty. That do your best and leave the rest of the lot. Do your best, that includes a lot. There's a lot we can do that would fall under that rubric of doing your best.
But it is also stated that omission is as bad as commission. So discrimination then comes in here. But we also have to remember that we're not separate, that it says you can come as a king in one life, and the next one might be because of your treatment of your subjects that you will be collecting garbage in the street. So we sit in judgment of those around us perhaps, but that's not the way to do it. This is an impartial philosophy. It does not show partiality to anything or any particular one, because in this philosophy, each soul that comes from that light center is the same as the other soul. There's no separation. We're all identical in our soul nature. It's just the personality is different. That how we use our powers are different. So if we decide to make a difference in the world, it's our choice to do so. And as you said, when you become a good example to all those around you, then you're asking them, if you like this way of life, then follow it.
Exactly. Yeah. Josh.
Briefly, and for that reason, an incarnation as a garbage collector may be the more noble incarnation than that of the king.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's all part of the lessons that we need to learn, or the process, the role that we are asked to play in a certain lifespan. The reasons behind that may transcend our own comprehension, but it's all part of of existence.
The personality could be said to be made up of traits.
Definitely.
Yes. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Yes.
That spells out ocean. Now I know there's an ocean of theosophy, and I'll just leave it to that.
Theosophy. Theosophy sure opens an ocean of possibilities for people to try to understand life as we know it in different aspects, and psychology intertwines with a lot of concepts from Theosophy, for sure. I think the lady had a question.
I came in late and I missed what you said about the law of periodicity.
Yes.
Just briefly summarize that.
Cycles.
Cycles.
Okay.
Yes. The cycles. That if I could how beginning and endings, the morning and morningness, eveningness. There is richness and poorness. Life is constantly cyclical, and we it's common for people to go from one pole to the other, and it is to achieve equanimity within those states can allow one to transcend and try to reach the path to wisdom more in a more conscious manner, rather than being allowed to necessarily go into the extremes all the time. If there are life sometimes there are circumstances that can draw us more in one direction than another, and if we allow ourselves to go along that, or get too attached to one, or to repulsion, or to repulse one another, that can lead to a lot of samsara, a lot of unhappiness in life. On the contrary, if we tantra, which is leads to the ability to let go when you need to let go, and open oneself to experiences when they come your way without attachment, that can lead to a more peaceful state of existence, because there is an awareness that everything comes to pass, and everything is in constant motion, and there's in that sense suffering is a choice. We don't need to necessarily suffer. We suffer because we choose to allow ourselves, surrender ourselves to be attached, overly attached, or deny ourselves from experiences and the like. That would be my personal interpretation. Roman.
Through the power of Raja Yoga, you can choose a path of yoga and try to follow it as best you can.
True. Yeah. The more conscious, but again, that's technically that's when such decisions need to be conscious, and typically are made by individuals who have developed a lot of discipline and have reached a conscientious stage by which they can voluntarily renounce other paths in order to focus and choose on the one they feel are calling towards that.
But to get back to the ocean of Theosophy, this must be said. As you put that triangle there, that's the higher triad. You said that people need to understand that that's who we really are.
Yeah.
Spirit, soul, and mind is who we are. That part of us is the permanent individuality. It's the part that goes from life to life to life to life. And it records all of the experiences of the soul in each personality. in each incarnation, there's a new brain, there's a new physical body, and all the skandhas that we had left over from the previous life is again attracted to that individuality because we have an electromagnetic imprints on the substance that we use. So whatever of that substance there is, we gather it again for the physical body through the parentage that we choose to come in, because it's the soul who's choosing where it is going to incarnate, because it provides the opportunity for its growth. It might not be rich, it might be a trying environment, but that experience is needed for the soul's growth. So it comes to where it's going to experience the growth process. So we need to understand that we are not a bag of traits. That's the personality traits. But we are here to perfect those traits. For instance, we're to make passion into compassion.
Yes.
So the higher aspect is what we need to cultivate in life, because nobility, a noble character, is not noble by itself. It comes from self-induced, self-devised effort, and the personality is involved in that. But it is an error to invite that identity by looking in the mirror that this is who I am. That is not who I am. I am a soul incarnated on earth, and I'm using this physical body. That reversal is the first requisite in the inner life, HPV says, that we need to expunge that idea of one life experience from the heart, because that light is the Christ principle in each heart. Whether you call it Krishna, God, Christ principle, whatever you want to call it, call it. It's the same principle in each human being. So it cannot express itself until that lie is expunged from the heart. That's the first requisite in the soul life of each human being.
HPV calls us lights on a piece of clay. You know, what we see in the mirror is that piece of clay.
Yes.
We are really the light, and we need to, you know, get that out.
Sandra.
This is more of like a thought on the absolute as I was listening. So the absolute is this unknown, ever present, and to me it feels ultimately unified. It is the unity itself. And then for some reason it decides to differentiate. So it still remains unified in its principle, but it starts differentiating its in expression. And often I like to ponder on the reason, to experience itself, to evolve further. So it differentiates, and here come us in that differentiation. And I feel that actually the finding unity among ourselves is very much in seeing our difference, because we are at the stage when everything is differentiated. And I would even question the statement, do to the others as you wish to be done to yourself. It doesn't work. Actually, it completely doesn't work. Ask the other how they want to be treated and see it as beautiful as well. So this is the unity in a way in differentiation. That's what your talk prompted in.
It's a very good way. It makes it sounds like your statement was very carefully thought out, and it sounds like it presents the potential to personally to you to work very well, and I can agree, totally agree. I think if it makes sense to you, it makes total logical sense to me too.
Okay, to follow that statement, which is true, but the essence that you talked about from the first cause, it's the same all the way down to the substance that we use down here. In other words, the essence upholds everything. It looks different through differentiation because it has to express the potential wisdom, and it cannot do that until it differentiates. How is it going to express it through one essence? What would be our universe like? The homogeneous aspect of that, the invisible aspect of that, is the true aspect of it. And in this philosophy, until you reach that field operation, all of the rest is Maya, as you expressed it, is illusion. But nevertheless, it is illusion, but we live here in this elusive world.
Yes.
This is where we grow. This is where we experience life. So that differentiation occurs for a reason. It is for the soul's experience that the world comes into existence, it says. It's the same underneath it. Because the light, for instance, it has 7 different levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
The prism. But the essence that upholds the white light is the same. It looks different, but at the base it's the same.
Makes sense. Any other questions? Josh.
Are the 3 fundamentals, like, the absolute cycles and then incarnation, evolution, are these 3 equally important?
I would say, I undoubtedly, I would say so. They all, our own comprehension of the can have very important implications in our lives. Being aware that there is an absolute allows us to do not be dissuaded so much by the illusion of separation, by that in of itself can have as a very primordial role in our lives. Law of periodicity, as I mentioned, being aware of it in of itself can allow us to prevent ourselves from going into being pulled into dualities or extremes that are not healthy. And cycles of incarnation. It's good also to be aware that we need to understand that we are in a constant process of perfection. We're evolving, and it's a learning curve, and it's up to us to make the most of the chance we're given now. And I think all 3 to be aware of them in as much as possible can allow us to live healthier lives, to put it that way. Roman, I think, had lifted a hand first, and then I'll go with the 2 of you. Sure.
No, I'll let Nadine.
Okay, Nadine.
So you said that the absolute reality is devoid of all attributes, but then you said that there's duality.
In manifestation.
In manifestation.
Yes, its aspects. Like spirit and matter are aspects of the one absolute. Even their manifestations different, but even though it could appear to be opposites or not related, but that's part of the illusion. It is part of oneness. That's what
But then aren't you giving the absolute reality attributes? When we say that there's
Absolute doesn't have any attributes. The absolute is. It does not have any attributes.
so everything else is a manifestation.
Is.
Okay.
Tuncha, I think. You have another question?
I'm good.
Or comment?
In this philosophy, there are many articles written about the 2nd fundamental, which is cycles.
Yes.
And in cycles, the law is karma and reincarnation.
Yes.
And I think that was in the Bible. It's still some remnants of it are in there, but during the Nicene meeting of the fathers of the Orthodox Church, it was decided to take it out because it did not coincide with the dogma they were putting forth to the world. The Christian religion, in other words, is very dogmatic because it expects you to accept it on faith, not on knowledge. Whereas this philosophy is based on knowledge. And during the first 3 and 3/4 centuries of our era, the historical era, there was a tremendous struggle within the church fathers. In the 1st century, Peter and Paul. In the 2nd century, the church itself was divisive, the Orthodox versus the Gnostics. Now imagine what would have happened to our humanity if the Gnostic Christian fathers had been able to hold that unity but they were not allowed to because the Orthodox fathers persecuted each and every one of them and made them leave the country. They were abolished from their own land for this philosophy that they held. Origen is one of them, Clemens is the other one, Marcion is the third one, Valentinus, and who's the other one, Herb? There's quite a few of them that were expelled from the country for holding this philosophy, because at that time Platonic philosophy was also in existence, and these church fathers were very knowledgeable. They understood this philosophy, so they couldn't go along with the Orthodox fathers trying to dwarf it into one Christ, because there are many, many Christs all over the globe at different times. So much the worse for humanity that they took it out from the Bible, because now we have to put it back in, which is very, very difficult when the mind has been set. In accepting the dogma, people just don't question it most of the time. They just go along with it. But I think the mind is opening up, don't you think?
Definitely.
That we're asking questions.
Sure. Roman.
Plato was an initiate, but he had to keep the truth secret because of persecution. However, his allegory of the cave, I believe, can give us a lot of answers and insight into the world of illusion and truth and reality and true ideas.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's important to read that in the Theosophical tenets.
Yeah. Origen was also an initiate. He became an ex-initiate. Origen was an initiate. Clemens was too, because Ammonius Saccas was their teacher. They were initiates too. The church fathers, the Christian church fathers, they were mystics. They were also initiates that got expelled from the church. Yeah.
Okay, so
We'll continue this next week with Never Need to Worry. It's a good backdrop for that. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see all of you and more next Sunday at 11 o'clock.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you.